Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning into the Gray Zone podcast. My name is Giuliano. I am your host. And in today's episode, we have a very special guest, Andrew Dirte Sanchez. He's a UFC fighter. He just came back from Fight Island in Abu Dhabi. He was fighting in the UFC 257 event, main event, McGregor, Poirier. He fought about 3 fights before that. I just want to do a quick disclaimer for language. There is going to be a bit of language in this episode. So if you're listening with small children, keep that in mind. And at the same time, I want to let you know that this episode is available in a video format as well. So it's going to be available. Either the link will be in the show notes, or you can also check it out on the YouTube channel, The Tech Locker. But anyways, enjoy.
Hype me up, man. Give it to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome. You can't make me laugh.
Lay it on me.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Octagon, the one, the only, Andrew Dirte Sanchez.
Nice,
man. So the first question, Andrew, can you tell us about the mullet?
Oh, the mullet? The mullet, I mean, I've always thought the mullet is fucking hilarious, and I grew up, in the Midwest, and I don't know, I always almost looked up to guys with mullets. I'm like, wow, this guy doesn't give a fuck, So from an early age, I was like, mullets are cool. And then I moved out to Las Vegas, and Mike Pyle was out there. Remember Mike Pyle?
Okay.
Yeah, it's, who's got a legendary mullet. So
it's just been basically an inspiration.
Yeah, throughout my life, I've been graced by these figures with mullets, and they've always been cool, and I've always kind of looked up to them. And one day I'm just I want to get one. How many more? Who knows how many times I'm gonna have a chance to fight on the big stage, and God damn it, I want to.
You want the mullet?
The mullet before it's all over, And sure enough, I did it. I grew the mullet, and my coach and Conrad, my coach, was he was so against it. He's like, don't you, he was serious. Don't you fucking do it. People are going to be laughing at you. It's not funny. I had
wait. In all fairness, Conrad has no hair though. So
exactly. Yeah. He's bald as fuck. So he just, I don't know. He's a hater, man. I think he's they call it a coupe longue here.
That's what I was about to tell you. Yeah.
The white trash part of town or something. And I grew it, and it was a hit, of course, no surprise, it was a fucking hit. And now I swear to God, before my last fight, I asked Conrad, I'm like, you ready to let the mullet fly? Ready to let them? I'm like, how's it looking? He's like, it's looking good. He's like, in fact, I never told you this, but I envy the mullet. That's what he said. And man, that one felt good.
No, it grew on him. It grew on him.
It grew on him, yeah. So it's part of my identity now. It's never going.
No, I hear you, and I'm that's why I asked about it, because I want people to know, because they see you from the front. It's all business.
Exactly.
Once you turn around.
Yeah.
That's when the fun happens.
Yeah, I don't foresee ever cutting it. Honestly, I think it'd be funny if I started to go bald. Because. I don't think I would lose the mullet even if I started balding, because that is the most. That's a real statement, man.
Bro, you have a patch
just
here.
That's a receding hairline, yeah, but full on mullet waving in the back. That's a statement, man.
Oh God. Look, you know what? I'm a fan. I'll support no matter what. I appreciate that. But if you go bald, I think you should do beard, shaved head.
Yeah, that's what everyone does, though, man. That's a cop out. That's the easy way out. Oh, I'm going bald. I'm just gonna shave my head. No.
I guess I'm a basic bitch on that one.
Yeah.
I'm I everybody got a beard. I got a beard. I said, you know what? I got to do it too.
Yeah.
So you just came back. You just came back from the Fight Island, Abu Dhabi.
Yeah. I just got back.
How was that?
Got back last night. Yeah, it was cool. It was an experience, It was kind of a bummer in some ways, because in previous Fight Island adventures, all the fighters, they were able to go to the beach and train outside and kind of walk around the island. When I got there, it was the first time that they kind of shut it down to the fighters because it's more open to the general public. So that means that the fighters kind of can't go and wander. So we were quarantined to the hotel, and it was a beautiful hotel. It was a 5-star. I think they call it a 6-star hotel. I didn't know that existed.
Oh, okay. So there was it was up there.
Yeah, it's called the W. The
Oh,
W
yeah.
hotel.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of them around, but I've never been to one. Like I personally like the fucking like Holiday Inns and stuff, and like that was too fancy. I don't know where anything's at. I don't know how to work anything. Like it's outrageous. But it was cool. You know, it was like a 16-hour flight, right? They flew us all to Las Vegas, and then from Las Vegas we took a shuttle. Etihad
16
Airlines.
hours to get to where to get to Abu Dhabi, but that was a 5 hour from Montreal to Vegas.
Yeah. So on top of the 5, so there's a lot of traveling, but like the charter to Abu Dhabi was crazy. Like first class, this like Saudi Arabian, I think it's Saudi Arabian airline called Etihad, and we get these pods, and the pods you can recline all the way back. So like, you know, I'm like laying.
Oh, you have one of those like closed like little things there where you can slide.
Yeah, I don't know. I call them like a pod, I guess, and yeah, and just crazy service and the TV. It was very comfortable. I remember I started to get stiff, and you know the plane is very roomy, so I did like a whole yoga session in the plane to loosen up. You know, so the traveling wasn't bad. But this is the one thing. So we get to the island, and like we're trying to stay on Montreal time, right? Because I'm gonna fight at like 3-4 in the morning, so I'm sleeping during the day, and I'm up all night. And they have this huge racetrack that goes across the whole island.
Okay.
Which I think is like the dumbest idea. I mean, it's not. I mean, yeah, it's dumb. It's even if I wasn't fighting and trying to sleep during the day, it's obnoxious having Formula One race cars like whizzing past your.
Oh wait, like proper Formula One cars.
Yeah, it was like an actual like race. Like they're racing like time trials and stuff. And I'm trying to sleep, you know. So that was a tough one, you know. It was like kind of fucking my sleep up, and so I had to put on the blinders and the earbuds.
But why would they have the racetrack or around? First of all, I don't even know how big the island is. Is it like it's just like an island, or is it like Montreal, like an island?
They kind of like it was like a man-made. They kind of cut it out. Like
okay.
No, it was not huge. You know, it's connected to Abu Dhabi, I guess. Not huge, no. But yeah, it was like, I don't know. I think it's a terrible idea. That kind of was tough. But so actually, what's that?
No, I was gonna say because you're answering a question that I haven't asked because you said you're fighting around 3 a.m., which that was gonna be one of my questions is about the fight time because I know I watched your fight around 11 p.m. Montreal time, so that was I calculated that was 7 a.m. Abu Dhabi time.
Yeah, you called my bluff, man. I was originally supposed to fight around like 3 or 4 or something, but I was on the undercard, and then like some stuff got switched around. A couple fights got pulled, so they pushed me to the main card. So I was actually at 7. Dang, you did the math. I was like, I wonder if he's gonna know that I'm like it's bullshit because I realized it's bullshit when I said it. I'm like, I actually fought at like 7. But...
No, it's not for that. It was actually because my follow-up question was gonna be, how did you structure that? Did you wake up for the fight or did you stay up for the fight? But then you're telling me you stayed on Montreal time the whole time. So
yeah, so I woke up around like noon their time. Because I didn't want to if I was on their time, like I don't know, like the UFC gave us like potential schedules to follow, and the schedule they gave us I didn't like because I'd be waking up at a certain time and I'd be up for like 12-15 hours and then I'd have to fight, and that's just like I've done that before and it's draining. And like, you know, we all have like what's it called, like your biological clock or whatever, you know, we all have a time of day where we're the most awake, right? The most like functional in our bodies, and plus I'm used to training around like noon. And anyway, so I adjusted my schedule to that, so I wake up and within like 6-7 hours I fight. That just happened to be sleep
So
all
you
day.
woke up. You woke up for the fight, but like basically just following your regular schedule. You didn't. You tried to keep
Pretty
it as
much, yeah.
adapted to.
Yeah, I didn't have to change too much at all. So it was kind of nice. The only thing was the damn racetrack. That was driving me nuts. But
But
no, we
I don't know. I don't get that either.
yeah. And it was, in previous trips, like my coach Pat Smith was over there, and they let him go and like drive in a race car, and he's like drifting around. That's super cool. We weren't allowed to do that this time, unfortunately, but
Oh, because of COVID and the whole thing, right?
yeah, they locked us down to the hotel, the fighters. I was really looking forward to going to the beach, and like there's like a cage out, like I think on the sand, and I've seen all these pictures and it looked cool.
Yeah.
Didn't do any of those things, but um,
But
it
that's
was
the
still
thing though, because I thought that the island was the bubble. Because from what I understood, it was like the NBA bubble, and the island was the for the people that are listening that don't know, I'm just gonna tell them the NBA created a bubble. So basically, they have the players they can't leave the bubble. They have to stay within the group of people. And so that's for the COVID, for the COVID prevention. And so I thought that the UFC did the same thing. So once you get on the island, you got to quarantine for a bit of time, do the tests, and then the whole island is
hmm
the bubble.
hmm yeah, that's what I thought too. But
And then
apparently,
you get there, the hotel is your
the
barrier.
hotel. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that sucks. Especially I saw those pictures GSP posted on the beach in Dubai or something a couple weeks
Oh
before the
yeah,
fight, and I was like, that's what I thought it was like. That's
and
what I figured. I'm like,
that's what it was, man. That's what it was. Just hanging out on the beach, like swimming. Like it seems super cool. But the hotel is cool too. Don't get me wrong. The hotel, like once you get there, you have to quarantine for several days. Once you're out of quarantine, like you can wander around the entire hotel, and there's pools and like cafes and
okay, so
you
you
know
get to go out, you get to do
like
stuff.
yeah. It's
Okay.
pretty cool. It's not. I'm not complaining by any means.
But this was your first time on the island too, and like this was, so you fought the main card. It wasn't the first technical main card, but I think it was the first proper main because you did is it Yakinta versus Cowboy? I think that was your first main card officially in
Um,
17.
was that when I fought Barrio? So
Let me
I,
go
I,
back.
I fought on the Ultimate Fighter finale when I fought Khalil Roundtree. And
Right.
that was the main card, co-main event. So, and
Yeah,
that
but
was
that was for the show. That was in the show.
in
On
the show,
the
but it was
Yeah.
in the show, but it was an actual UFC event. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, so that which is crazy because that's your first introduction into the UFC. You're just like
Yeah.
small shows, and then you're fighting in tough, and there's no crowd, and it's like, okay, you made the finale. Now you're the co-main event, and it's like the sold out arena, and like that's a big jump, right? A big, almost a shock. That was insane. And then, yeah, past that, you're right. I fought Barrio. We opened the main card in Ottawa, and
Right.
then
And then so this one was like kind of the because this main card you were which for the people listening is the UFC 257 event. You fought against Muradov, but you were like 3 fights before Conor McGregor and Poirier, which was the main event. How do you prepare mentally for a fight like that? Because it's a huge fight.
uh, yeah, it's no different than any other fight. Like mentally, just as much as on the line, right? Like my last fight, if I hadn't done what I did, like I wouldn't be in the situation I am now. Like, so you don't say, "Oh God, this is the biggest fight of my life. I have to perform. I have to perform." No, you like that's all white noise. All that stuff. All this is the biggest fight in UFC history. And the lights and the cameras and the people and like that's all just distractions. Like it's the same thing you do in the gym, and you want to not overhype it. You want to go that. You want to underhype it. You want to make it just
You're
another
trying to stay
day.
focused
Yeah,
on
yeah. You can't
yeah.
focus on all that shit. Like it's not going to help your performance. It's just going to make you more nervous and more emotionally invested, and that's not good. You want to have clear mind and just kind of flow. So yeah, I try to
Well,
really you know when the music and the lights and everything comes on, I just I'll soak it in. That's the best you can do. But just realize that it's all almost an illusion. It's not. It's
That's
just real,
that's
man.
that's the question though that I had is how does it feel walking into that arena and it's like empty? Because obviously it's
Uh,
you're used to fighting in like stadiums that are there's people, there's a crowd.
yeah. So this event had they had like 2,000 people, which was more than the
Oh,
last I fought it. Yeah, they're starting to have crowds there, I guess. But everyone in the crowd has to get tested and be quarantined before they
huh.
go, which is
See,
crazy. Like,
see,
wow,
I
that's
thought it was empty because I saw from the angles that I saw, I guess
yeah,
the fight, it looked empty.
yeah. No, there was not a huge crowd, but a crowd nonetheless, and you could hear them. They're ole, 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 doing all that shit. Um, and loud for a small crowd. Like they got down. So, but anyway, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like usually COVID is empty. In Vegas, it's empty. Like they're just starting the crowds. But when
Right.
I fought in Vegas, it was empty, and I like it. I like it better. It's just like I said, the crowd just another distraction. Like it doesn't. I guess some people like feed off it and stuff, and it's fun. Like soak it in. But I look at everything as just a distraction. The more like it's stripped down, the more it's just like a glorified sparring match, which is how I like it. And you can hear the coaches better, and it's just I don't know. Some people maybe it weirds out, but not me. And being on the Ultimate Fighter, if you go through the Ultimate Fighter experience, like every fight is in a silent arena, right? You can hear a pin
Well,
drop.
it's like it's in a gym basically. You had the octagon, and then you had like the judges, which were basically, I think, Dana White, Claudia, and because you were on Team Claudia, and then there was Joanna.
Yeah,
So those were the people, and then the people from each team was there. That's pretty much it.
yeah, yeah.
And
So that's
it's weird because I was thinking about that. Does it help you focus? And you're saying it does help you focus when there's less people, and so you're mentioning UFC, the Ultimate Fighter 23. That was in 2016, and you had to fight against Spice. And for the people that don't know, Spice is Eric Spicely. You guys came up together. I mean, you fought together. You are pretty
yeah,
close friend. Is it fair to say?
yeah, yeah.
And what was it like to fight against him? Because that you had to go through that. I think it was the semifinals to get to the next fight.
Yeah, that was crazy, man. Because it was unexpected, It was very unexpected because we're on
Yeah.
the same team, But it turns out it's all like teams. There's no teams. I mean, there is until everybody wins, and then you have to fight each other.
Right.
So that's basically what happened. And but it's crazy because you don't expect it, and we're all training together. Like we're not keeping secrets. Like we might fight each other. Like no, we're just there to kind of help each other, and then all of a sudden we got to fight, and it's like, damn, that's like kind of sucks. Um, and we were like good
Yeah.
for like we were out of everyone in the house, we were the best of buds. So it was tough, but like you got to get past that. I remember I kind of almost had to like make myself not like him for a brief moment.
Shit. That must be tough.
Yeah, like both had our own ways of going about it. But um, you got to somehow get past the emotional attachment and just. But it's fighting. Also, it's fighting. Like it's a sport we do. It's like it's nothing personal. It's like we beat each other up in the gym every day. We punch each other.
When you-
Yeah, we try and kind of hurt each other. So like, what's the difference really? Just that
right.
the the matter of winning and losing, that's on the mind, which is big and it's important. But besides that aspect, it's the same thing. So um, we just got in there and did our thing. And
Well,
afterwards, we both fucking cried like on national TV, man.
I saw you. I saw you after the fight. You were disappointed. I even though you won, I mean, I get it too. Like I get what you're saying. It's like it's tough. You're friends with somebody, and obviously this is a career, but it's also friendship, and it's friendships you build along the way, and it's tough.
Yeah, yeah, I felt bad, like, of course I'm, I want to win, and I'm happy that I won. But like, it was also a short fight. It was like I got in and I kind of caught him early, and then finished him. I didn't have a chance to really, if it was a grueling like back and forth fight, and I was getting hit, and I was tired, and then like you just kind of go autopilot, and you're not. But like I don't know, my mind was still, I guess, fresh. I don't know how to
But it
put
was
it,
like
but
it was a TKO, right? It was a
it was a
so they
TKO, yeah. But it was quick, and I feel like my mind didn't have a chance to kind of you almost like I don't want to say lose consciousness, but like you go into your subconscious, like the flow state, right? You're not thinking, you're not emotional, you're just reacting. And I don't know, because it was such a short fight, I feel like I never kind of got into that state. I did for a brief second, but I was still very conscious of like, oh, this is like spicely, like, oh, like, well, wow, I'm kidding, and then the fight was over, and I was able to like be sad almost instantly for him. Um, so it was a weird thing, but I guarantee if it was like a back and forth, like, nasty fight, like I wouldn't have felt that same kind of emotion immediately after.
no, but that's it. I get what you're saying. My sport is soccer, and like I get what you're saying. Like you run back and forth, and you're like, okay, fine. I know the routine basically, and then you're kind of in that zone where it's like
Yeah.
I'm doing what I always do versus
Yeah.
when you just start the game, you're like hyper conscious.
Yeah, exactly. Like just starting the competition is the hardest part, right? The most anxious.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And then it kind of goes away once you start. Just that's easy. Just getting there.
Well, yeah, that's it. When you try to stay in there for like 3 rounds, and that's 3 rounds is like, it's like forever, bro. Like I'm watching it from a TV, right? But like I'm imagining myself in the ring, and I'm like, or the octagon, and I'm like, that's like I don't know. I wouldn't be able. I don't have the stamina personally. Like I just don't. Like I'm doing the lazy position in soccer. I'm striker, so I'm the guy that like just scores the goals when I need to.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know how you guys do it, bro.
But the thing is, it's like it's not. Yeah, like everyone's fit, and you have to be like in good shape. But like, what's more important is like the experience and know-how in the sport and energy management. Because like we hear of guys. There's boxers out there and wrestlers out there that are, they just get off the couch. They haven't trained in years, or they're drinking every day. Who knows? Like I don't know. Conrad always tells me about this Russian boxer he knew who was like an alcoholic and never fucking really trained, but he'd show up and he'd do 12 rounds no problem. And it's not because he was in shape. It's just because he can relax, just cover, but he's very energy efficient, and that comes with just knowing how to fight and knowing when to relax, and that's the biggest thing, right? Like, and you could also, for that matter, you could put in a marathon runner or whatever, like a high fitness athlete, into a fighting scenario, and and they would gas almost instantly, right? Because they don't know the sport and the game, and the anxiety they would feel, right? That's a big part of not getting tired, is like dealing with the anxiety of a guy trying to take your head off, right? And being able to relax. And uh,
Yeah, I mean,
so
there's an angle. You see it from this side, the two fighters are here, but when you see it like this, it's a whole different dynamic.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
I can't no, but that's it. And you mentioned Conrad. So Conrad was there with you on Fight Island, and I also saw Spice in the corner
Yep.
with you. He came with you, right?
He was already there. He fought the week
Oh,
before. So
see, I,
it
I
was
didn't even know that. Okay, so he was there, so he waited with for you to be there.
pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
And
And
so you only get to go with what your coach and you, the only two people, or
you
you get to
get,
bring.
you get up to three people.
Okay.
You can bring your mom and your sister, and if you wanted to. Um, so it's up to you. Usually I got a coach, a couple coaches, and I'll have one guy for maybe moral support, or a coach and a training partner. Some guys just train with me. It just depends on the fight and who I was working with. And um, yeah, and everyone's different. Some people bring, I know Mike Perry brought his girlfriend in one time. He had his girlfriend
Yeah.
in his corner. it's like whatever you feel comfortable with and kind of drives you and whatever you need. Everyone's different as far as I'm concerned, but I would suggest bringing a coach. Yeah.
Coach should be the number one criteria.
Exactly.
Coach, then girlfriend,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
But when you're in there, like it's not really. You're not gonna. No one's gonna tell you some magic formula to help you win the fight. Like it's all on you. They're there to remind you. You know, give you little reminders, moral support, wipe you off
Right.
with a towel, water.
But they have the bird's eye view, so sometimes they'll be like, watch for the left side, or they'll be. I'm assuming that's what the coaches do during a fight, right?
Yeah, but it's yeah, but it's very yeah. They can give you little suggestions here and there, but like at the end of the day, it's you in there, like and it's you. Sometimes it doesn't matter what they say, like it doesn't matter as much as people think, in my opinion.
Okay, so it's like basically you're the one fighting, and you
Pretty
got to
much.
rely on your instinct and your muscle memory as well.
Yeah, they can give you some suggestions, and you may or may not take it, but like a lot of it's just the work is done, and you're going to do what you're going to do and react how you're going to react. The coach can say like, "Watch the right, keep your hand up." That he was screaming at me to keep my left hand, but like you're going to react how you're going to react. And, but at the same token, sometimes, yeah, absolutely. Like the coach can like talk you into a submission on the ground or give you a little, suggestion that could, sway the
They
fight.
watch the left side, watch the right side, get the leg or.
You can, but I don't think it's that. I don't think it matters that much, personally. So I mean, that's why you see some guys with, like Mike Perry brought his girlfriend in, and nothing, no offense to his girlfriend, but she didn't know. She didn't look like she knew anything about fighting. He's just like, oh, like, you're doing great out there. What can I,
It's
can I do?
emotional
Yeah,
support, right?
that's great, man. That's all he needs. He believes in
That's
himself,
it.
and he won that fight. I believe. I think he won that fight. So it doesn't really matter that much. It just depends on the person. What if if you got a really like I don't know, emotional fighter who needs to feel that they think if a fighter thinks it's important, and they need that, they need to feel like coach is there that's got their back and they believe the importance of then yeah, that's really fucking important. They got to have that because the fighter believes in that. It's very much like based on each situation and each individual fighter's kind of mentality, I think.
So you're more in the mind state of what you do when you train is what matters, and once you get to the fight, it's too late. Like basically at this
No,
point, that's
yeah, I do think that's true. That it doesn't really matter that much, but like I'm kind of an emotional guy too. Like I need to feel that. I've never had to fight. Well, that's not true. On the Ultimate Fighter, they take your coaches away, but I don't know. I feel like for me, it's more emotion, like moral support, and
right.
you need one like technical coach who's gonna be able to see things and like work with you leading up to the fight and get your mind right, and then the rest of it I find is just moral support. You also don't want too many cooks in the kitchen. You want like three know-it-all coaches and who are telling you different things. Like you want everyone to be on the same page. So I personally like one kind of head coach technician, like like use this Conrad, and then I'll have another guy there for training.
Mm-hmm.
Need somebody to train with the week of the fight, and it's great if you can coach also like Spice Lee. He knows his shit. He's a very good grappler. Place where Conrad doesn't. He's a striker. He's a world class kickboxer. He doesn't claim to know grappling. So Spice Lee can cover that base, and then I have my old coach Pat. Pat, we've been through a lot together. It's good to have a guy that I kind of came up with, and forget where he came from. But I would consider him more like moral support. He's just nice to have around, and so yeah, that's kind of my my recipe, but everyone's got a different one, and
Well,
and
obviously,
no way is wrong, in my
well,
opinion.
that's it. It's based on you're saying the fighter and the way he fights, and or just the person, because it's a person behind the fighter. Obviously, like that, but some people out there might be looking at a screen and say, well, it's easy to yell, punch him at the screen, but there's a person there.
Yeah.
And obviously this particular fight at the latest fight wasn't a win, but I mean the last fight you did against Turman, that was a KO. That was your first knockout, I think. Is it your first knockout on the record? I think it is.
Uh, no.
Or it was TKOs. Is it the first knockout?
Okay.
Knockout?
I think I have one more. I have several TKOs. But yeah, like it was my first time I knocked a guy out cold like that.
I saw just that part, and I was like, those are highlight moments. Those are highlight moments.
Yeah, exactly. That's the moment that I'm gonna like for the rest of my life. I'll be able to look at my career and be like, yeah, that was that was a good night,
Now,
And that's what fighting's about, man. Like
well,
making those.
the winning, but also, I mean, you gotta, like, in every case, you have stuff to do after a fight, right? Like post fight process. I'm sure there's things that you do either to get better, whether you win or you lose. I mean, you probably analyze some data, some videos, and you probably check, your stance, or I'm not sure exactly what your
Yeah.
process is, but what's your post fight process? From the moment you step out of the octagon that day, and then also the weeks following.
Yeah. After like a fight, you have to really kind of decompress, man. Like it's a crazy build up, and then there's the climax, and then if you win, that's one thing. If you lose, like then that's a whole nother thing, right? But
Right.
either way, win or lose, like you're on a big high or a big low, and you have to kind of step away, because God, it's so overwhelming. I can't even, like it's hard to go back to normal life. Like even right now, I'm like trying to reacclimate to being a regular person, and like you can't live on that high forever. Um, so you have to go. I always take a week. I take at least a week, sometimes longer, just to kind of like recenter and like be a normal person. Just like lay around, be lazy, do whatever the fuck you want. I eat whatever I want for a week, whatever. Like it's one of my kind of bad habits, but I like to gorge on sweets, man. Like in the middle of the
you're
night.
you're in a bad spot too, because you're like right across the street from one of the best pizza joints in Montreal. Only you're
Yeah,
like,
narrow, man. Yeah, exactly. Um, so yeah, whatever. I'll take a week, and I try not to think about fighting too much. Try not to watch. Um, well, it depends. If I win, I'll watch it a lot more than if I lose. I'll say that. Um,
but you
but
do you do 1 week like time off, and then you get right back to training, or
yeah,
you
yeah. I don't. Sometimes you need a little more, and depending on injuries and stuff like that. But like the thing is, like mentally, really. I mean, physically, you need like a week. I hear no more than a week. You don't really need more than a week. Um, but like mentally, man, like the tax, it's so taxing on your mind. Like it's just
I could
all.
imagine.
Yeah, nothing else matters. Leading up to that fight. And then it's all over, and it's like, oh, like what do I do with myself? I have no idea what to do with myself. It's the weirdest like thing. I just want to wake up and train and do what I do, right? Like I'm like a robot, a Terminator is what I do every day. So anyway, I force myself to. I take a bit of a break, and then I slowly kind of get back into it, uh, and start analyzing the fight. But you have to kind of step away from. You're too emotionally attached to the whole situation. Right? You got to take a step away, and sometimes taking a step away, taking a break is the best thing you can do for learning. And um, have you ever done something too much? Like you play video games?
Yeah, well, sometimes too much. Like, yeah, probably like you. Like you're
You know,
gonna.
when you play, you play something like too many hours, and like you just start getting worse, right? Start getting
Yeah.
worse. like I don't know. It's like doing a tongue twister or something. And you do it too many times, and then and then if you come back the next day and you try it again, like it's going to be a bit better. And same thing with like learning music. Like I play a bit of guitar, and like I'll try and learn a song, and I'll keep trying it, like hammering it, and then I'll start getting worse. I'm like, oh, I can't like, and I'll just put it down, and then the next day I'll kind of be a bit better, and then the following day, so it's 2 days, right? And you come back to it, and like your brain just is able to process a lot of like subconsciously. You're always working on this stuff, like you didn't even know about it, but like it's able to process a lot of things, and then you come back to it, and um, fresh and new ideas. It's the same thing with fighting, right? You take a step back and like, and then all of a sudden, like all these ideas and everything, and these connections are made in your brain, and you come back and things just make a lot more sense and start gelling. And if you overdo it, it's like you're like inhibiting that process. You're not letting your mind kind of work through what it needs to work through.
It's true because it's I mean in my field, like I'm in the visual media field, right? So I do content creation, photo shoots, video shoots, and all that stuff. And when you when you're working on a project, so I have a lot of ongoing projects right now, and I have to create them, right? So I have to think about ideas, I have to think about scripts, I have to think about shot lists and the whole thing. And when I actually get down to it, sometimes I spend the whole day thinking about it, and just taking a minute to just take a break, do nothing, you'll pick up things here and there, and it'll just stimulate you. Be like, that was the missing piece of the puzzle. That's where I had an issue. I stopped. I blocked, and now I can get back to it. And I get what you're saying. That moment, that time off, is actually the time off you needed for your brain to actually like put everything back into place.
Yeah. So you got to stop thinking.
Exactly.
Stop thinking about that particular subject, and then while you're not thinking, your mind's working it all out, right? And then so it's really important, And I'm like I've been a bit of an over trainer, compulsive trainer, and like I'm
Right.
getting got to fight, and I'm like, oh, train more because it makes me feel better. Um, but then you get like blockages, man. You get blocks with the techniques, and the mental part of it, like it's no good. So taking breaks, like not just a day or two, like a long period of time, like a week, 10 days, like I think it's really important, especially after a fight, a huge event like that, like a semi-traumatic event. I've heard that like every fight is, semi-trauma, everything you go through, you got to take a break, man. Let your mind recenter, and then back to it, man. Back to the I find this a bit of it's like kind of an artistic process. Everyone has their own way of, because it's an art. It's like a huge sea of techniques, and you can take them and twist them however you want, and you have to put them and blend them together in the perfect scenario depending on your opponent. Anyway, and everyone has their own way. I like to get high at night. I smoke weed at night, and I'll shadow by. I'll record my mid sessions, my sparring, everything, and I'll watch them. And I'll watch them late at night before bed, and I'll just like have these almost like breakthroughs. I'm like, oh, like what if I do this and this and this, and then I'll get up out of bed and I'll start shadow boxing, and I don't know. And everyone has their own kind of way of doing it and putting things together.
But that makes a lot of sense, though. That makes a lot of sense, especially it's when I've always said it's when you least expect it that things come along, right? When you try too hard at something, and not saying that you should give up, but you try, you give it all you got, but if you overwork yourself, it's going to start playing against you. So you got to figure out what that threshold is where anything more and you're working backwards. And so
Yeah.
that's when you start, it starts clicking at the weirdest times. Like it'd be 2 a.m. Sometimes I'm having moments like, oh shit, that's what
Yeah.
I was that's what I was missing, right?
You probably weren't
So
thinking about it at all, right? You're probably just
exactly.
dead.
No, it,
So
it makes complete sense. And then you're saying like you're watching those videos and you're like that's when you figure out, okay, you know what, that's the move I should have done, or
Yeah,
that's the thing I should have been doing, or I
yeah,
can switch my stance to this or whatever it is, right?
for sure, man. And it's like,
And,
and it's also like just like overall, I guess health and happiness, right? Like if some area of your life is fucked up, or you're having girl problems, or you're dealing with depression, or like you can't, like all the best fighters are happy. I heard this before, like all the champions, John Jones, like all these guys, you always see them and they're fucking like happy. I guess I guess we don't know that for sure, how a person really is, but you know,
yeah.
you perform the best, you can think the best, have the best breakthroughs, like when you're happy and enjoying what you're doing. And so like all aspects of your life have to be kind of, you know, like gelling. You can't have an issue anywhere. And if you do, it's gonna rub off on your fighting or whatever your craft is.
And
Um,
the fact that somebody's, like you're saying, somebody's happy in other parts of their life, and there's a difference. I want to distinguish between happy and being overly overly confident. I'm not want to, some fighters get into the ring, they have that attitude, right? And
yeah.
you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like you walk in there and like this is like completely the opposite of you, right? But they walk in there and they like, I'm the shit. Look at me. Kind of what you
Uh-huh.
were talking about. Feeding off the crowd, and so especially when you get knocked out, those fighters get knocked out. That's when it crashes the quickest. Like right away. It's like, and it's like the whole language changes. It went from I'm the shit to, we all have our hard days. It's like
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
It's
Hell
like,
yeah.
but you need to stick to your message, and like you're saying this, and I've known you for a couple of years. Last time I talked to you, and it's the same vibe I'm getting. It's like you're always, you know, you work hard, you get it done, but at the same time, on a good day or a bad day, you got to keep working at it. Like it's not because you won this time that it's
Yeah.
sealed and like it's taken care of.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just
No,
a long process of like learning these things, because I was young and cocky. Everyone tries to at some point in their life be something they're not, maybe. And I did the thing where I talk shit and,
yeah.
you know, try and be the tough guy. But like fighting's a humbling sport, man. Somebody's always going to get you. Somebody out there is always going to get you. It's just a matter of time. Somebody's going to best you uh, one of these days. And
What? Look at the event you were at like a couple of days ago, when
yeah,
McGregor
McGregor.
knocked out. I
Exactly.
didn't expect a knockout. I thought it was gonna be a tough fight, but I didn't expect a knockout.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck. It was the calf kicks, man. The calf kicks fucked his leg up, and then he had to adjust his kind of stance and got out of his game. Um,
I thought when he hit Poirier's wrist, I was like, oh, that's it for Poirier. Like like usually when you get an injury like that mid fight, you're like, you're out of
what did he do? It
commission.
hurt his wrist. What
I
happened?
I saw that Connor kicked or punched. I forgot which one it was, but he hit his wrist, and then they had to stop it for a couple seconds while Poirier double checked his wrist.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't
I,
realize. I don't remember that.
you were probably preoccupied after, because that was
Yeah,
like a couple hours after your fight.
yeah, yeah,
But no, it was like, and then I knockout, and that just surprised me personally. But anything's possible. That's it. When you get in there, like it's basically it's two people fighting. That's what it is, right?
yeah. I didn't expect that either. But and like if it was just a box, Connor's like the best boxer in MMA, I'd say, and it was just and you saw in the beginning like he was outboxing Poirier, but Poirier was. I'm telling you, those calf kicks, man, it fucking changed the game, man. And he couldn't just box anymore, right? He had to adjust to them, and that's when he was able to.
Like those little kicks, it's intermittent, right? He did it like once in a while, kick, kick, kick to the same spot though. And so
Yeah,
that repetitively, it just hurts you, because at a certain
yeah,
point you're like, oh shit, why do I have less power in this calf or this leg? Why does it hurt more when I step down? And that's when it gets you. It's like, then you go for the
yeah,
knockout. That was surprising. That was a hell of a fight.
yeah, yeah. Calf kicks are brutal, man. Cause like and it's a new technique, right? Like to the leg, it's bad, yeah, but to the calf's It's small. It's much smaller. Like you can break the bones back there. It just takes one
Yeah.
sometimes, right? Like just takes one to fuck up your nerve, and then you can't feel your leg, and you're stepping funny. But yeah, I mean, normally it's kind of a repeated thing, right? Like the first one you can take, the
All the
second one,
time.
then the third and the fourth one, it starts to build up. And it's like, oh shit, and then you start to panic, like, and if you don't know how to deal with the kick, but what do? Like, what's your answer? Switch to lefty, or if you're a lefty, switch to righty. Yeah, it can. In fact, the whole fight it can change because you have to adjust to it. You can't just keep taking it over and over. So you have to adjust to it. That could be maybe squaring up your stance so you can check it better, or I don't know, playing with distance. But you have to do something different and gets you out of your game. And just like with McGregor, you saw like he had to get out of his game a bit, I think, and then he got knocked out because of it. But it started with a fucking calf kick,
I
and
that from the start, and I saw it, and I was like, uh, just that, and he went for the takedown, and then that didn't work, and no, it was a very special fight, and obviously when you fight, you prepare for a fight. You were talking about your mentality. You have to prepare. I'm assuming with a fighter in mind, right? So obviously the stance, the technique, and this and that. And I know that. Um, First of all, you had the fight in Vancouver, which fell through. I forgot against who, but that just a couple weeks out, it just fell through. That was in 2000, 2 years ago, about 2019, 2016, 2019. Sorry, that got canceled. Then you rescheduled the fight, and that was with Marvin Vittori. And then that you had the eye infection, that the eye infection that happened, like, and then you had to push the fight against a couple weeks. How does that affect you? The uncertainty of a fight leading up to that moment.
oh shit, yeah, that was the first time for me having to back out of a fight. I've never had a disaster like that happen, where it was like a change of opponents, and then yeah, I had this eye infection, but it was a bad eye infection. Like it was my whole, like it was like the flu. I was weak, and
The whole thing. No, I saw it. It was horrible, bro. You
it
posted a
was like
video online, and I was like, bro.
the pandemic at the gym, and everyone had it. Like
Yeah.
my eye is still scarred, like on the inside from it. It's fucked up. And I was in Vancouver trying to fight because I didn't want to back out, and like anyway, the fight got pushed, and then it's real tough because you already peaked. Like you went through that. I don't know. You went through the hardest part of camp is like the weeks leading up to it. And you did it all, and then the fight doesn't happen. It's like you gotta do it again a month later, right? I don't know. It's like, but that's part of fighting is you gotta build because shit is always gonna happen, like injuries and like um, unexpected events and fights getting
Right.
canceled or new opponents. Like that's what I'm learning more and more. Like you can't put all your eggs in one basket and then you know like shit's gonna happen, like bad situations, and you can't react to them. Like you can't have big reactions, right? You have to be like steadfast, slow. You know what I mean? Like at first, like when you're not used to it, it's the end of the world. Oh my god, change of opponent. Oh my god, but eventually, it happens enough times that you're just like, oh, well, no surprise. Like
And
it's
you
just
got to
fine.
stay focused on who you're fighting, what you're fighting, and
Yeah, yeah.
what's the situation, and
And it's very applicable to the rest, like just life in general. Like not, it's not just fighting. Like it's anybody's life. Like bad shit's gonna happen. You can expect it, unexpected things, but eventually, like, you've done it enough to know that things happen, and then it's not a surprise. Like bad shit, it's gonna happen. So it's all about how you deal with it and react to it. And
like I have in red print, like you can't see it on my board here on top of my desk, and it says, "Don't take anything for granted." That's like my motto. Because how many times have I been, facing a situation? I'm like, okay, this is sealed. This is good. I'm golden, and then, you know, two
yeah,
seconds later, something fell through, and it's like,
always.
I think that mentality is so important because once you start thinking like that, you like as a person, it couldn't be that big of a thing. It could be a small thing, but it derails your whole day, your whole week, your whole mentality, and that you need to be strong to just say, fuck it. I'll pick myself back up and I'll keep working, and I've done it. What's different this time? I'll just keep
Yeah,
doing it.
exactly. Yeah, it's like it's like eventually you have to accept that that's part of life and realize like it's not that crazy that
Yeah.
these these things are happening, unexpected events and changes, and just roll with it, but like that takes, I think, a bit of time and experience, and um, but
I think it takes a lot of bad experiences to have that, when you
yeah,
figure that
yeah,
out.
you go through shit enough and then you're like, yeah, well, kind of get used to it in a way.
Yeah, that's it. It's through those bad moments, and like, and obviously, there's wins, there's losses, and especially in when you're fighting, when you're in the UFC, and you do about 2 fights per year, right? Like approximately. Obviously, COVID kind of pushed that a little bit. But how long in advance who you're fighting against usually?
So the UFC's been give me like long notice, 12 weeks,
Okay, it's not that
long.
long.
Well, for a camp in camp terms, like that's a long time. That's a long ass camp. Normally, like they say, like 6 weeks is all you really need, and some people prefer like, hey, don't like just give me like tell me like 6 weeks out, because they don't want 12 to 15 weeks to like think about it, slowly drive yourself insane. Some people just want to train, stay in shape, and then like get fight news 5 6 weeks, which like that makes sense. And I kind of am leaning towards that too, because yeah, I get these like long camps, and then uh, you don't want because like peaking is an important thing. You don't want to train too hard too early, but like if you have an opponent, that gives you a little bit of anxiety, which makes you want to train harder, and like it's this like snowball effect. Um, so yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought there for a
No, it
second.
was like it was, and it makes sense because you were saying you don't want to kind of hype yourself up to be in a situation that really is just anxiety. You're saying, okay, I'm fighting against this guy, which you were talking to me about things like in your comments on your Instagram. You were asking me because I speak Italian, right? Against
Oh,
when you were fighting Marvin, it was like comments that you were getting that you were asking me to translate, right? And you were like you weren't sure what they meant. I think that's kind of like the psychological warfare type of aspect of the game, where if you know too far in advance that those type of things happen and it weighs on you consciously.
yeah, yeah, I can, yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah, fucking the internet trolls, man. That's one of those things that like. I mean, I try not to. I don't really look at comments, like close to a fight, because like yeah, the last opponent here too, like Uzbekistani guy, and he had it's like 1 million followers. Like literally, he has 1 million followers. Like who the fuck has 1 million followers? But yeah, like all these trolls coming out, man. I remember I posted something like fight week, and within an hour, I had like 150 comments. I'm like, I'm not looking at any of this shit.
But that was me. No.
Yeah, yeah. There's a couple homies in there, but for the most part, it's just fucking trolls, and there's nothing really. You can't. You can. You can be neutral about it, yeah, or you can be negative about it, but like you really can't get anything positive from it if you think about it. So it's best just not to kind of look at it or not acknowledge it, or so yeah,
Especially not engaging. Like online is completely useless. Like I have somewhat of a public forum. I have a YouTube channel. I have a podcast. And I keep myself pretty public in terms of my media because obviously I'm in marketing, web marketing and content creation. So
yeah,
it's my brand. And there's a lot of bad comments out there, and for the sake of being a bad comment, sometimes I feel like, did you even watch any of the video? You're just commenting. You're like, you did this wrong when, what I mean. It's just for the point of being negative, and I don't like that type of negativity. I try to surround myself with positive people as much as possible, and that's
attention, man. It doesn't like, and it's weird with the internet nowadays, and like everybody has a voice, right? The comments
or
about this, that they think they have, they can say whatever they want, but like what's the best thing to do to those people is just don't even like engage,
don't
don't
engage.
look at it, definitely don't engage, and just take away their voice, right? But like if you give them any kind of, if you like it, you comment back, you're giving them a voice, and that's what they want, and they don't fucking deserve a voice.
It's the people think that they're entitled to a voice or an opinion when really this fight is a bit against. I mean, and there's some obviously monetary reason, but that's when you get to a point where you're filling out arenas and the whole thing. There's that aspect to it. There's obviously the whole marketing aspect to it. But when it boils down to it, you have one opponent versus the other, and that's what matters, right? That's the fight. That's the whole point. So all the third parties that are on internet, like, who cares? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, who cares? And especially Conor McGregor, what did he do? I think he went. Draymond Green commented something on his post when he was fighting Mike Tyson. Not Mike Tyson. What am I saying, bro? Mayweather. Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Mayweather, and he was fighting Mayweather. And he was like, "We're not with you. We're with Mayweather." And then Conor answered something like, "I'm sorry, who are you?" Like,
Yeah.
keep stay in school, kid.
Nobody cares. Like I just
Like Draymond Green is a big guy, bro. He's NBA. He's like he's. But like it was funny to see that. I don't know. I just find it funny.
yeah, well said, man. Uh, the age of the internet, man.
It's a special thing. I have one last question for you, and this is just really to get where you envision yourself, and that's basically what's next for Andrew, right? Do you have anything planned? Are you looking into something specific right now?
What else am I gonna do, man? I'm back to the drawing board, like.
Now you're taking your time off, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna take a week off, but like I got to get back to it. There's no time to waste. At the pinnacle of my career, and like losing is part of fighting, and like you can't let it, drag you down. Like I'm gonna learn a lot from this fight. Winning or losing is kind of irrelevant, and I feel like I'm putting the pieces together. You can see my improvement every fight. And I'm close, I'm close to that masterpiece, right, where it all comes together, kind of. Just a couple more like little tweaks. Like I would have beat that guy. It was a close fight, I fucked up for a split second, got caught, but like I feel like if I could have done it again, if I could have had, go and add a few more things, like the outcome would have been different. So yeah, I'm going to take a lot of good things from this fight and get better from it. And that's all you can do, man. That's literally all you can do in this sport. What am I going to do? Like cry about it? Like, no. And if you win, what are you going to do? Just like, right out there for the
seal it, close it
you
up, and say,
just don't. You use it for the next one. And that's it, man.
No, I completely agree, and I think that's a mentality that anybody can apply to their everyday life too. Like we were saying, it's not specific to just UFC. Obviously, it's everything in fighting, because like that's literally it's you get 1 or 2 fights a year, so that's what it centers around. But we all have those big meeting once a year, or we have those big contracts once a year. Everybody has that thing, and it's everybody can take that information and just use it. So no, it's a mentality.
The process of like getting good at something, becoming elite at something or whatever, like the process of doing anything, like it's the same, like you're gonna have to work every day, you put in the hours, you're gonna have good days, bad days, you're gonna fuck up, like you're gonna be demoralized, but you got to kind of get over that hurdle. Like it's the same, like whatever you choose. So definitely it's relatable to all areas in life, and if you can do one, like you take like a great athlete in general, or a great musician or whatever, and like you say, okay, now get good at this, like they're gonna know the process of it, so I feel like everything is connected in that way.
No, it is, and that's it. It's you just have to you just need to apply it to your own situation. Andrew, I I went a bit over the time we had set out. We said 45 minutes, but I really appreciate your time. I think this is a great piece of content for people to get to know you personally a bit better, because everybody sees you on the screen, but obviously, you know, there's a person behind that, and and you know, people forget that sometimes. So I wanted to make sure that that people could see, you know, the real you. Do you have anything to add?
No, not
Or
really.
did we cover all the bases? We covered
That's
all the
it.
bases.
That's it. It's past my attention span, man.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest conversationalist, but you had me going for an hour, so
Not bad.
well
Huh?
done.
Not bad.
Well done.
Well, that was it. Thank you for listening. I want to thank Andrew once again for being part of this episode. Make sure you follow him on Instagram at Dirte Sanchez and on Facebook, Andrew Dirte Sanchez. Also, make sure you follow the Gray Zone podcast for more content on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast from. If you're on Apple Podcasts, make sure you rate us. That stuff helps us a lot. And we'll see you in the next one.